I just want to give you a hard time, Tammy. Give me a chance.
I gotta look larger now.
Right, exactly. We know that's really unlikely.
No.
Mark,
How about you?
where did y'all hear?
Red River, New Mexico.
Really cute card. Thank you.
Bronchitis.
I still don't have mine. They're email
Me,
to me.
me either. Us either. We're doing a New Year's party.
Cars say.
It just came on us too quick this time.
I think I've missed the past two entirely, and I was like, we have to get one out this year.
No, not really. Oh, not really.
I think really should, but that extra recess.
Yes, it really, really did. Yes.
Terrible time. Changing every day.
Two gifts done, that's it.
That's what's tough. Yeah, that was the worst.
And Tammy's got a birthday this week. Fine. Yeah, ready? I'm in trouble.
Christine, we ready?
See her.
I've done, I'm trying that.
Everybody ready to start? Super. So it's time. So I'm going to call the regular city council meeting of the city of Colleyville to order. December the 17th, 2019 at 7:33. So let me first call the roll. Last meeting I was told that I can't be heard sometimes because I don't get close enough to the mic. If I'm not like half-inch away, you can't hear me. So if that happens, let me know. Raise your hand, and Tammy will remind me, I know, but because I know that's very frustrating. Anyway, Councilmember Nakamura,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lindemood,
Here.
Councilmember Wheat,
Here.
the mayor is here, Councilmember Dodson,
Here.
Councilmember Kelly,
Here.
and Councilmember Rigney, her family is in Australia, having a good time, so more power to them. So this evening, the invocation is going to be given by Mayor Pro Tem Lindemood, and after that, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, so let's all stand.
God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many blessings that you blessed us with. We just praise you and uplift your almighty name. Lord, we just ask that you take your hands and bless our city even further than what it has. We've been so blessed in us by your guidance. Lord, just keep us grounded, and may we hear the cry of the people and do what they say, because we're here to serve for them. Lord, we just pray that you bless Texas, bless our country, protect us, protect our children, our schools. Lord, we just give you the thanks and want to say happy birthday in a few days. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Very nice.
Oh.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought my job was done.
Well, let me welcome all of you. Thank you for being here. And as I always tell everyone, we have items on the agenda that have public hearings. You're welcome to speak. In fact, we encourage you to speak in those public hearings. There's little cards in the back you can fill out if you want to speak and indicate which item you want to speak on. But I always say this, it doesn't matter if you do or not. If you want to speak, if you'll just raise your hand, I will not close a public hearing without making sure everyone has spoken that would like to speak on any particular topic. And I know in here we're sitting way up above you. It seemed pretty formal, but we really run a pretty easy meetings, try to make it comfortable for people to be here and speak because we want your input. So we always try to do that. So with that, we will go to agenda item 2. We just came out of executive session. We always have executive session just before this meeting, and we're obligated to any action that we want to take based on discussions in executive session, we have to do publicly. So agenda item 2 is always here to allow that, and we do have an action tonight. And so we have to do that first. So this is reading and public hearing of Resolution R-19-4453, a resolution approving council action regarding executive session items at the regular city council meeting of December 17, 2019. Whereas following discussion in executive session and in full accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council determines that the following action is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the City Council hereby authorizes and approves an economic development grant and incentive agreement with Terra Village in an amount not to exceed $16,000 for the building and landscaping improvements on the real property located at 1009 and 1101 Cheeseburger Road. The city manager or his designee is authorized to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the foregoing economic development incentive agreement, and it is so resolved. Adrian?
Thank you, Mayor. Adrian Lothery, Assistant City Manager. I'm going to review the item that the mayor just read forward in our executive session resolution. This item is a BEST grant request, one of our city's economic development grant programs, and it is from Terra Village. They are interested in, they are interested in participating in our BEST grant program, and I'm sure most of the community is familiar with Terra Village. It's over off of Cheeseburger. It's one of our longtime shopping centers, and the owner of that shopping center would like to reinvest and show that center a little bit of love and bring it back into an updated state, if you will, and is interested in doing some improvements that really include painting the facade, replacing some of the worn siding, and doing quite a bit of landscaping improvements. So with that, they are going to be investing about $47,000 into the property as a whole, and have come forward with that $16,000 BEST grant for the city, and we thought this was a good opportunity to partner up and see the beautification of that center move forward. Again, the BEST grant program's purpose is to provide some community grant dollars to help those different commercial portions of our community look their best and really beautify the area.
Very good. Anyone have any questions? You know about how many BEST grants we've done?
I think we've done about 12. We recently put together a map that I hope to be able to share with the city council of all of the different grant programs that we've rolled out over the last year or so. And I think we've got about 12 BEST grants, and it's maybe 6 or 7 sign grants, 1 safer grant, but it's really nice to see how they're spread out all over the community, from the north end of 26 to the south, now extending over to Terra Village, and really all parts of the community are able to benefit from these beautification efforts.
And you may have said it, but I'll say it again if you did. The money that we use for that is tax increment financing?
I didn't mention that, but you're absolutely right.
Okay, yeah.
Our TIF district, our tax increment financing dollars are the funding source for these economic development grants.
And the purpose of those dollars are exactly this, to do what
Absolutely.
we can to help economic development in our businesses. So we're doing our best to do that.
We sure are.
If no questions for Adrian, anyone? Then I need to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Have no cards because you didn't know we were going to do this. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? I see no one indicating that they wish to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, so a motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-19-4453.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Wheat, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lindemood. So would you open the vote, please, ma'am? And whenever it's ready, you may show it. The motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you. So we will now move to agenda item 3, which is announcements, proclamations, and presentations. And the first thing we typically do are the announcements. So we always have them these days. So I'll start. I have a couple. So I just wanted to comment on the tree lighting ceremonies, Christmas tree lighting ceremony that we had last week. It was the first event in our new plaza. I was very impressed with it. It turned out great. It had many people here. Everyone that I talked to said they really thought it was good. So you probably know about that, but it takes a lot of work to do that. So I wanted to thank a few people, actually a lot of people, that spent a lot of time and effort in doing that. And I want to start with, we had choirs from a lot of schools, school children choirs. And so the elementary Cowboy Chorale, Colleyville Elementary, Heritage Elementary, Bransford Elementary, O.C. Taylor, Timbers Middle School, and Inspire Academy were all there to entertain all of us. They did a great job. And to put that on, a lot of people were involved. So I want to thank them. Erin Spicer, our communications coordinator. Where are you, Erin? She's, okay. Mary Rodney and the whole Colleyville Library staff, Ray Silva Reyes and the Colleyville Public Works, Lisa Escobedo and the Colleyville Parks and Rec Department, Colleyville Police Department, Colleyville Fire Department, Christine Johnson, Paul Wallace and Ray Caniano, Photos with Santa. Taylor Hines, who is Karen Hines' daughter, one of our employees in the city. Brooke Ray, Chief Ray's daughter. Abby Rudolph in Four Seasons Market. Mackenzie Wallen, a card by my yard, Colleyville. Miss Colleyville Outstanding Team, Sadie Schermeyer, who is here tonight. We're going to talk to her in a minute. Miss Park City's Outstanding Team, and Colleyville residents, Mia Donato, and Mayor for today, Daniel Thomas. And then we had about 16 trees that are still out there. In fact, this plaza is beautiful at night. You take a look at it when you leave, or if you go to one of these windows and look down, you can see it, and the trees are still there lit up, so it's a beautiful, we're really proud of it and glad we have it. The other thing I want to talk about is last Saturday was Salvation Army Red Kettle Day, and so I entered us into the Mayor's Challenge, where cities challenge one another for how much you can raise in money for Salvation Army, which is a great charity. They do a lot of good work for a lot of people. And we had a lot of fun. The council was out there. Volunteers were out there. I don't remember how many volunteers we had, but we had quite a few. From 10 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we had locations at Walmart, Albertsons, 2 at Albertsons, fire department were there, and Market Street. And so it was a lot of fun. And everybody was very generous. Everybody coming by. I had we talk a lot when we're out there. But now that we know how to do it, so we raised $6,000 that day, what we raised.
Not bad.
So that was only with 4 kettles. So, you were telling me you could get $1,000 in a kettle. So we had like $1,500 per kettle, which was high. And so next year we can have more kettles.
There we go.
But it was, I really appreciate and thank all the council and everyone else that participated in that and did Colleyville proud. So thank you very much. That's what I wanted to say.
I have a couple. Earlier this evening in a work session, we heard a presentation summarizing the results of the citizen survey. I'd like to thank over 1,300 people took the survey, and we just appreciate it because your input and commentary is very important. While the entire presentation can be viewed on the website, I'd like to take a moment to highlight some of the things that happened for us or that were on the survey. As expected, we learned that most of our residents get their city news from the electronic newsletter and the water bill insert. Over 90% or more respondents indicated they were very satisfied with the quality of life here in Colleyville. Not only that, but the safety, the appearance, and the city services along in Colleyville. Of note was the strong support for the city taking a proactive role in the economic development, which was around 91%. And an investment in land and quality economic development and open space preservation was 88%, very, very high. Finally, we saw strong support for community events, 89% of that, and road work improvements, 88%. This feedback is very important to us. It helps us with your public opinion and how we move forward on the things that we do here in Colleyville. And thank you very much for taking that survey. And I have one more. Last Friday, we had an incident at GCISD, and I just want to say thank you to some heroes. The Grapevine and the Colleyville PD, you guys are amazing. You stepped up in a flash. Your presence was known, and it was a big deal. Our SWAT team, those guys were there to protect our children. We appreciate that. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Denning. He's the principal of GHS. As soon as that happened, he took command. He was out front, and he was making sure that his students were secure. Dr. Gropel, the principal at CHHS, he's a hero as well. As those children who are transferred children, mine being included in that, he made sure he was there as those children hit the ground to take them in the back and to console them and talk to them. And we think of heroes in different ways. You got to wear a cape, but little things like that makes you a hero. And also, I think another hero that needs to be recognized is the student that said something. Say something, see something, say something. It's been around since I was a kid, which is a long time ago. But this student took that and put it into action, and because of that action, some kids are giving her a hard time, and I'm going to use the word that they use. They use that as snitch. Well, I'm going to tell you, by this council, by me on this council for sure, I think you're a hero. And I think there's many in this community that think you are a hero. There's children in that school this could have been a travesty. And if you're listening, I want you to know that we think you are a hero, and we appreciate every second that you took of your life to do that for us. It means a lot to me, my children, and everybody else here in the city.
Well, Bobby, thank you for commenting on that. I know there's some other announcements, but I want to take the opportunity to follow up on that. There's been a couple of incidents now in our schools, and everyone's concerned about it. All of us, and I got a lot of emails and conversation with parents asking, well, what's the city's position? What's the city's policy? What does the city think about these things? And so the police force is under the city, so we have accountability for a lot of security for the safety of the city. And so in view of that, I met with Dr. Ryan and Lisa Pardo, President of the School Board, Security Director, and was someone else in that meeting? Of course, me and Chief Miller was out of town that day. Adrian came and City Manager came and talked with them privately about the position, kind of the policy views that the city has about security. We want to be a partner with them and work with them and Grapevine Police Department and Colleyville Police Department to do everything and anything we can. And so the reason I met with them, I wanted to discuss that with them so that they understood where we stood, so that they could view that as support or however we could help them. And then the question becomes, how do we communicate that out to the community? And so we drafted a one-page kind of statement that kind of dials through our views, and there's like 4 things that we think, and I'm going to pass this out to the council. You actually haven't seen all of this yet. In fact, do that. It's got draft stamped all over it because it's not yet for release, since you need to look at it, and I wanted to do this publicly. Things like, SRO officers at schools. Oh, excuse me. To hardening of schools with security measures, equipment and training to provide teachers with means to defend against assaults, enhanced communication with public during school-related police interaction at the schools. And so those are 4 general categories that have some specifics that go behind it and when needed a way, when citizens ask, well, what the city think, what's the city's policy, so we're trying to kind of cover that off and get something in writing so you can actually see it. So that's what this is. So you guys look at it. I will get something on the future agenda very soon so we can talk about it publicly, and then we can set about releasing it in an appropriate manner. And I'm sure I will, before we do that, we'll discuss it with them again, with the school, before we release it publicly, get their feedback. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Well,
since
thank you,
made that
Mayor,
comment.
and I'm going to move on to something that kind of ties into what Bobby was talking about, economic development. Sales tax receipts started the year strong. We're on a different year, and so this is for September, isn't it, Mark? Yes, September 2020 is starting off in a really positive note, and we all know that we love to see these numbers, especially since Highway 26 is doing its thing out there, and we want to make sure that these numbers are good, and they are very good. They came in, our first month was $490,253, which showed an increase of 8.6% from last October, which was $451,000. And it is almost 15% higher than our budgeted, which was $426,000. So our receipts are currently well ahead of what we saw in the previous 5 years. So that is a very positive note. We're very excited about that. Now, the growth was not unique to just the Colleyville area. Cities in our area around DFW and Texas as a whole saw increasing numbers. Although it's too early to see if this is going to be the norm for the year. We're sure hoping it is, but it's really a great start for us. And so we will continue to be conservative on our expectations and monitor these as they come in, and we'll keep you informed.
Cool.
So positive notes there.
That is a great start to the year. And I want to talk about something that we approved at the last Colleyville City Council meeting. We purchased 15.1 acres just south of the intersection of State Highway 26 and John McCain Road. you've probably driven by that and seen the big sale sign up, the for sale. There's a little, small little pocket park, Colleyville Pocket Park, right where the trail is by the railroad tracks. And then this land that has been for sale for some time. So the city paid $4.3 million for the property, which is $468,731 less than the appraised value, and $633,170 less than the asking price. So we purchased this as a strategic purchase to allow us control of the type and quality of development on that parcel. While it is likely that the roadway frontage will be commercially zoned, the city may also consider open space opportunities along the back portion of the property. Funding for the purchase came from the city's TIF fund and did not involve any debt. The purchase of the land was identified in the TIF original project. The purchase of land, I want to be clear on that, not this land necessarily, but purchase of land in general was identified in the TIF original project plan, and it was also strongly supported in our recent citizen survey, which Bobby just mentioned, and we also discussed in our work session. So we're really excited about this opportunity and wanted to share that with everybody.
Very good, thank you.
And I get to talk about one of the other things that the mayor pointed out earlier, our beautiful plaza out in front of City Hall. Unfortunately, some folks on social media have provided some erroneous and confusing costs associated with the city plaza enhancement. To clarify, the city plaza construction cost was $2,468,693, and then there was an additional set of work done to enhance around the building, fix pavers, put in the new ADA compliant doors, et cetera, that added on an additional $305,845. Just to note that this project was initially envisioned back in 1998 when we set up the TIF fund, and at that time it was put into the budget as $2,734,360. So we came in under the number that we had originally estimated back in 1998. So I think that's a great nod to both our city manager, the city staff, and to Fane Group who did the construction.
And the foresight that the city had as they set up the TIF, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I have one other thing. A lot of you came last Sunday to Von Husband's memorial celebration of life at Colleyville Center. I wanted personally to thank the city for making the center available to the family. And then I wanted to thank the restaurants that had donated food. Vaughn had gone out of his way throughout all of the 26 construction to reach out and help other restaurants that were struggling during the 26 construction. Even when he was struggling, he was telling people, go over and visit my friend over here, or go to help this restaurant over there. So those restaurants that donated were Townhouse Brunch, Palio's, Pre-Planned Packaged Meals, Honey Teriyaki, Lavaria, Mother Clucker, Rio Mambo, Red Barn, Snuffers, Dessert RX, Minchie's, and Buttermilk Sky. All of these businesses went out of their way to donate something to the family to show how much they appreciated what Vaughn did for them. And then there was a very moving memorial around all the things he had done to volunteer with other groups, donating vests to the police departments and the K-9 units, the amazing amount of work he did around rescuing animals, and the list went on and on. He was a gruff guy. He was certainly his own special individual, but he had a heart of gold, and this city really appreciates all that he did.
Sure did.
That's true.
Gonna miss him for sure. I'll finish up with the Colleyville Capital Improvement Program. We call it SIP, but Colleyville Capital Improvement Program is easier to understand. With so much discussion regarding capital projects and capital planning, and of course the amount of money that those take, it's a great time to remind our residents that our published Capital Improvement Program publication, this document is provided on the city webpage, and provides a summary of the $83 million in capital project spending that we plan over the next 5 years. The most notable thing is that we are planning to spend in the range of $39 million for the current fiscal year, which began October 1st. With $23 million budgeted for roads alone, 2020 is going to be a very busy year. If you're curious about sidewalks and pedestrian trails, you might find the $3.9 million budget over the next 2 years interesting. Whatever your interest, the capital improvement program and our city's long-term vision has something for everyone. The publication can be found in on our Colleyville.com website. And we're also, what the city has been doing the last 3 or 4 years is also requesting different grants to add to our funding. So we're trying to do a lot to improve our city. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Just a couple other things that came to mind. I see Mark Steele sitting out here in the audience from the Rotary Club. I try to keep the city council informed of what I do, but he invited me to speak to the Rotary Club at noon today, so I did that. So I enjoyed that. And me and Chief Miller represented the city at the Metroport Teen Court annual reception this week, and they do a great job with that. They do a great service. It's a multi-city activity, and everyone speaks very highly of that. And the last thing, we the city of Colleyville nominated 2 individuals to run for the Tarrant Appraisal Board of Directors, Richard Diott and Gary Lasada. And I got to tell you, because I'm excited about this, we're the little guys. So the way the TAD board is elected is the taxing entities vote for them. All the taxing entities in Tarrant County. So the county, the school districts, the cities, and you get votes based on your proportion of the value of property in your area. So Colleyville only has 20 votes. So the little cities like us have just a few votes. Fort Worth has like 550 votes. Tarrant County has like 475 votes. School districts have a lot of votes. So typically what happens is those big guys, I call them the big guys, have a lot of votes. They could put in office whoever they want to. And I took a lot of interest in this year, and actually we did last election cycle too, because it's so important to us. And I've heard more people commenting on appraisal values and taxes and stuff over the last several years than ever, and I've been around like 30 years here. And so our guys won, and there was another non-incumbent that won, so 2 incumbents won. It's a 5-member board, so that is really earth-shattering. I know that means nothing to everybody, but this is a huge shift. So the little cities, as we got together and worked together, got them in, and some other people put a lot of work in it. Our 2 candidates put a tremendous amount of work. They went around and spoke at council meetings and meetings to like 20 to 30. It's a lot of work on there. But I was proud of that. I was pleased with that. So for the things that can be improved at the Tarrant Appraisal Board, and we got an avenue to hopefully get that done. So that's very positive news, I think.
Absolutely.
Now, so that's all the announcements, I think. So the next thing I wanted to let you know about is I got a letter to Mayor Newton from Eric Johnson, the mayor of Dallas. And so he was complimenting our staff. So I want to read that letter so everyone hears it. Dear Mayor Newton, I want to extend my gratitude to you for your city's assistance after a tornado ravaged parts of Dallas on October the 20th, 2019. Considering the immense destruction caused by the EF3 tornado, we were fortunate that we had no loss of life and that we did not have any serious injuries. I toured the damage and saw buildings that had been flattened, cars that were overturned, power lines that were tossed about, roofs that had been ripped off, and massive trees snapped in half like twigs. I am proud of the way our first responders and our city staff handled the aftermath of the tornado, but we could not have cleaned up the mess as quickly as we did without you. The resources offered by the city of Colleyville greatly enhanced our response. We have a long path ahead to a full recovery, but your city's contribution have been a major boost to our efforts. In addition, I was heartened generally to know Dallas can count on its neighbors for assistance in a time of need. We were inspired by the outpouring of support across North Texas, and your leadership and willingness to help us will not be forgotten. Dallas owes you and your city a debt of gratitude. Please let me know if your city can ever do anything for you. Best regards, Eric Johnson. So I salute our first responders and public works and anybody that helped in that effort. So just wanted to make sure everyone heard that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate him sending it. So now, three more things to do in this segment, and I have the pleasure. We have two beautiful young ladies out here, Miss Colleyville's outstanding teen, Sadie Schermeyer, and Miss Colleyville, Mallory Fuller. If y'all would join me in the front, I'm going to come down there and join you.
It's a secret.
He's got to turn up his.
It's on, yeah, it's on. Well, thank you. Why don't we turn around so everybody can see us? Because believe it or not, we have cameras, and a lot of people watch these meetings on video. I'm always surprised at how many people do that. But I really appreciate you beautiful young ladies being with us tonight, and I wanted to introduce you and tell everyone a little bit about you. So, Miss Colleyville's outstanding teen, Sadie Schermeyer. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you are. And
Good.
I applaud you for that because it's a hard last name.
Very good. So, Miss Colleyville's outstanding teen 2020, Sadie Schermeyer, is a senior at Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts. Sadie is a talented dancer with numerous competitive dance awards and a member of nonprofit dance company. Using her love of musical theater and the fine arts, Sadie dreams of becoming a Disney CEO. That would be fantastic. Yes. Great dream. She's excited to be representing the city that supports young women in their goals and will represent Colleyville proudly at Miss Texas Outstanding Teen this summer. So we congratulate you. We support you. If there's anything we can do to help you win that, we'll do it. So thank you so much. So I have a little gift for you and both of you in a minute, but before I do that, Mallory, thank you for being here. So Miss Colleyville 2020, Mallory Fuller, is a senior at Texas A&M. Gig 'em. I'm about as ag as you can get. I went to school there. I taught there. Everything. Yeah, it's a great place. So you picked a great school. Anyways, pursuing a liberal arts degree on communication and furthering her education beyond a bachelor's to become a speech pathologist. I need that. A native, my wife tells me that, you're laughing. Tells me that all the time. A native Texan and graduate of Fairfield High School, you will often see Mallory traveling to promote her platform of teen suicide prevention and performing on the violin in schools and venues in the Metroplex. Should have brought it. Yeah. During her 15-year involvement with Miss America organization, that's a long time. One of her proudest moments was standing before the Texas Senate to testify on behalf of the Jason Flatt Act, making it mandatory for all teachers across the state to be trained in suicide prevention annually. That is a problem. That's kind of scary to do that, isn't it?
It was a little scary. I was telling my dad, because he went with me that day, that this kind of reminded me a little bit about it. So
We're
I know
not
it's
nearly that
it.
scary.
Yeah, well, we really try to be, because we recognize it's pretty intimidating. You got a bunch of people sitting up here behind this thing, and because we do want people to come and talk. So
y'all are very
I'm glad
friendly,
you said
though.
we're
Very
more
friendly.
Anyway, than those guys. I know what you mean. I've been there. Last year at Miss Texas, Mallory placed in the top 5. That's great. She is proud to represent Colleyville, and we're proud that you're representing Colleyville in Miss Texas competition in June 2020. So thank you so much. Congratulate both of you, and got a little gift for you.
Thank you so much.
not but much, but at least something to, hey, we really appreciate you. Anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, we are just really so excited to be representing this community. We've already seen so much love and support. I know Sadie, she got to come to the tree lighting and talked about how much fun that was. So we're just really excited. Ultimately, we just want to serve this community, so we are open and willing to serve y'all however that may be, through appearances or whatever it may be. But yeah.
Great. Thank you. Sadie, you want to say something?
Just exactly what Mallory said. I was absolutely blessed to have the opportunity to come to the Christmas tree lighting last week. And I am always touched by the kids that come up and talk to me. And you talked about the kids' choirs that were performing. And I was in their position one day. And although I don't focus on singing at my school, it's still something that's so dear to my heart. So to see the kids turn around and get excited just because I have a crown on my head, but being able to talk to them and show them like, hey, you're in a choir, that's awesome. And being able to say, yeah, I have a crown, but let me tell you about what I do, because it's so much more than just having a shiny piece of metal on my head. So being able to have outreach moments like that and being involved with the community is something that is so dear to my heart, and I know is so dear to Mallory's heart as well. So we're super excited to be in such a supportive city, and we can't wait to spend this year with y'all.
We look forward to it. Thank you so much for doing it, and you're wonderful.
Start with you forgetting pictures.
Yeah.
Aaron needs a new camera.
Actually,
I just want to tell them.
I do want to say something real quick. Right, he couldn't understand it, so I'll just say it. I want to point out Erin down front here. She has taken on, Erin, stand up. Erin Verrett, she has taken on what is your official title? Erin, isn't it, are you sponsor? Come up here for a minute. Because she brought this back to Colleyville. Go ahead and explain real quick, Erin, if you will.
So the Miss Colleyville organization, they will go on to compete for Miss Texas and Miss Texas Outstanding Teen, which is part of the Miss America organization. I competed years ago. The last time that Colleyville was represented within the Miss America, Miss Texas organization was in 2011. That was the very last year I competed. I was not Miss Colleyville, but 2 members of our board were Miss and Teen Colleyville, and that Teen Colleyville actually went on to win Miss Teen Texas. So we have a good track record, but we wanted to bring it back to the community because it is so supportive. My husband and I are residents here and thought it would be a really good opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Very happy to have Tammy as a judge. Tammy and Callie were a judge, and we're recruiting Kathy for next year.
Super. You got that? Mark your calendar.
I've been told, yes.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. So now I want have the pleasure of recognizing our pedestrian transportation ad hoc committee. So will all you ugly guys come down here? And you can't compete.
Where's your crowns?
They're saying speak for yourself.
That's okay. Y'all got a cool award. They just got leftover Halloween Bash 2011 coffee cups and second place trophies from last year.
Thank you. So we owe a great debt of gratitude to you gentlemen. And Jennifer's not here. You have one more committee member. She wasn't able to be here tonight. So we appointed all these guys. 3 of them are from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. So we had 3 members of the advisory board, and then 4 members from just the community. And we asked them to do a difficult job. We wanted to do 4 things. I'm going to just read this so I don't get it wrong. We wanted them to identify and prioritize need and rationale for intra-connectivity of pedestrian transportation routes, that's sidewalks and trails, between neighborhoods and communal destinations, like the Nature Center, like the 26th Commercial Corridor, etc. 2, we wanted them to identify and prioritize need and rationale for interconnectivity of pedestrian transportation routes within neighborhoods. That would be sidewalks. C, we wanted to create a single sidewalk and trail map based on a review and update of the supplemental sidewalk map and trail master plan, because it was so out of date, like 2008. 4, we wanted them to develop priority-based recommendations and rationale for determining which sidewalks or trails should be completed first. Now, those were specific things we wanted them to do. We asked them to report that consideration. We did this in June. Asked them to have their result to the park board so they could review with the park board first. November, then we asked them to get it to the city council December so we could approve the policy change in our whole pedestrian transportation stuff. That was a big task. And so even though we did this in June, I think you didn't get all you guys organized until maybe August. You remember, Rich is chairman. And they met, I think, every other week until they got it done. And I really applaud them. They did a fantastic job. They were organized. They know what they're doing. They did a great result. In fact, they went actually above and beyond what we'd asked them because they have special interest in bike routes and stuff. So they actually did a little extra work and gave us that result too. So I'm very proud of you. I really am. I mean, I brag on you all the time. I mean, there's 2 committees in town. You are now number 2. The utility committee, which George was on before he was city councilman, did a fantastic job. And you guys did equally a fantastic job on us responding to what we asked. I mean, I brag on our citizens all the time. I say the biggest resource in this city is our citizens because of the capability they represent and the willingness to get in there and get their hands dirty and get the work done. Because you didn't mess around, you did it. Because I specifically asked for a really tight timeline on purpose because we wanted to get this policy done by the end of the year. And so I applaud you. Thank you. You did a great job. And we told you we're going to appoint you. That's your job. And then we're going to fire you. Not firing you, but it's over. It's an ad hoc committee. Now, I will tell you this. All these guys said, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to make sure it happens. So please appoint us for the implementation committee. And so we said, hey, first things first, we got to get this done. We have now done it. It's now policy. We attached your results to the official policy. It's in there. The map's in there. So it's great guidance. So we will, in short order, get on to the next step. But I will say this. George mentioned it in the capital improvement plan. We have in the capital improvement plan over the next 2 years, $3.9 million for sidewalks and trails. So we put the money there that's needed, and we asked you guys to process some things. So we already have several little projects that are gap fillers for trails and stuff in the works right now. So those were no-brainers, and so we're not waiting, we're not stopping, we're proceeding ahead. And we're probably going to ask you guys to work some more. But we're here tonight to thank you for that effort and what you did. And we have a little memento for you, each of you. You probably can't read it from out there, but it's kind of a nice little plaque that says your name and nice. There's a box that it goes in, so let me grab these. One for David. One for Don. One for Cliff. One for Eric. And one for Larry. So again, these are just tokens to remind you you did it, appreciate it. And I'm serious about everything I said. You guys did great work. You did everything we asked you to do, and Rich wants to talk.
Be quick. It's always an honor to support our hometown. I was lucky enough to chair, but the vice chair and this committee did all of the work. And I want to thank, too, the staff that did a ton to keep us up on the mapping and the efforts that we did. It was a very good cooperative effort, and we appreciate your support.
And I tell you, I can't go without saying Don put a lot of work into the thoughts in this before this committee started, and what bugged me about, hey, why don't you do this, 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 and I really was surprised he sent us a package of material he put together. I mean, he does this work professionally, and he put a lot of work into it, and it was a great presentation, and I said, fine, fill all that in, and so you did that, and so I appreciate it. So thank you, guys. Let's get a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything? They're all shy.
Larry? I'm surprised he didn't want to speak. Y'all could have moved like 10 times. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
And I didn't say this, but I'll say Rich and Dave. Rich used to be on city council. He was park board chairman for many years. His park board chairman today. Dave Jujak was on P&Z for a number of years. I don't remember the years, but back in my day too. So thanks.
Cliff LeBlanc's in the parks.
Pardon?
Keep going. Come on.
No.
I was just recognizing.
Sounds like
Cliff.
you're just trying to butter them up to get them back. It sounds like to me.
Okay. Now, we can move to agenda item 4, consent agenda.
No, you have one more.
Pardon? Oh, man, did I mess up?
No. You haven't messed up.
Not yet.
Oh, I am sorry.
Uptown cheapskate.
Yes.
I saw him go like this.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them. My mistake, I'm sorry. So, it's now my pleasure to recognize the featured business of the month. So, Adrian Lothry, Assistant City Manager, is coming up with Greg and Tracy Booth. And I apologize to you guys. So, they're new business in town. I want to ask you to tell us about your business so everybody knows and where you are. Give a great commercial because you're brand new. So, Uptown Cheapskate. So, you want to do that?
Thank you. So we are a clothing retailer, new and resale, and I have to say, my wife, she's a lot smarter than I am. When I get up, I always say I'm going to speak for 30 minutes, and she says, oh, no, you're not. She said, that's enough, sit down. So my main objective is just make sure that Sadie and Mallory don't leave because we have something very special we want to offer you guys. But when we opened our first store in Dallas, this is a brilliant retail mogul, and I didn't realize it until we opened that business, and we did pretty well. So we came over and we looked for a second location, and we scoured DFW, and we wanted to find the right place. Well, we were looking from a business term. Lo and behold, we came into Colleyville, and we got a lot more than we bargained for. We found a home. And so we decided we're going to bring a business here, and we're going to move here too because we love it so much. Is that okay? If we,
Absolutely.
Is that all right? Your background check or something we got to do? So anyway, that's just wonderful. We told Adrian and Eddie, who was wonderful. We said, you guys, we're going to have a weekly meeting for our build-out team. You guys are part of our, Adrian said, we're not going to do that. We can't do all that. So I said, it's just an email. You can ignore my email. My wife does. So anyway, we wanted to mention you guys. We have a relationship with the Miss America organization. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Avery Bishop. She's a wonderful friend of ours of the organization. And we actually had asked her, she is going to be at our grand opening in January. And we had actually asked Angelica Jasmine Bates to be there. And then lo and behold, she's Miss Grand Prairie now, right? So I don't know if you guys just switch crowns around or what, but we would love to invite you guys to be part of our grand opening in January. Would you do that for us? You guys can just tell us your terms. I'm afraid to ask, but anyway, thank you so much. You guys have been wonderful. This has been a wonderful community. It's been very warm and welcoming to us. and we are looking so much. I can't get Tracy to go back to Dallas. She's in the Colleyville store. I say, you got to go back. Dallas needs help. No, I'm staying here. I love Colleyville. So anyway, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, we're just so glad you decided to locate here in Colleyville. We're thrilled you're here, and of course, everybody knows that Colleyville is a gorgeous upscale community, and I think your boutique offers quite the shopping experience that many of our citizens will enjoy and appreciate, and certainly encourage everyone to go check out your new location there in the Town Center Shopping Center. And we're thrilled. Not only are they already getting open as a new business here in the community, but they're already participating in our Colleyville Gives advertising grant campaign and already promoting that all over their social media. And we love to see new businesses jump right in and join the fabric of the community in that way. So thank you for doing that.
Tell us again where they are. Tell everyone where they are again. Here in
Town Center Shopping Center.
Yeah, right there beside McAllister's, and we have new neighbors, AT&T and Athletico.
Oh, so
Great. Tracy, do you want to say anything?
awesome.
No? Well, I can tell. You guys are going to fit right in. He's a talker. I can tell that. And we do have fun here. We like to have fun here. It's a great place to live. The people are wonderful. We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming and moving here. I love that. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So we got to get a picture.
She's gonna get that camera and go, what the?
Yeah. There's 75 pictures of it. Okay, Tammy, am I good to go now to agenda item 4?
I think so.
Thank you.
Although you do need to dig yourself out of how you said they were the best committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got other committees that are listening.
Oh.
So figure that one out.
They're the ones that here tonight. How's that?
I was gonna say, wait till they-
I'm just trying
wait
to
till they get
save
on
you,
the
Mayor.
elevator.
Just trying to help you here.
Let them get
Thank
on the
you.
elevator.
Okay, we're now at agenda item number 4. This is consent reading and public hearing of resolution R-19-4454, a resolution approving city council action under consent items at the regular city council meeting of December 17, 2019. Whereas city council has taken action on certain items on the agenda under consent items. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Colleyville, Texas. Section 1, that the agenda decisions approved by city council action under consent items as follows are hereby adopted. A, approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of December 3, 2019. B, approval of the construction contract with Bean Electrical, Inc. for the Colleyville Boulevard Lighting Package Project in an amount not to exceed $1,743,043 and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract. And it is so resolved. Ray?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Ray Silva-Reyes, Director of Public Works. I'm here to seek approval for the construction service agreement with Bean Electrical for the Colleyville Boulevard Lighting Package Project. This project consists of installing roadway lightings along Colleyville Boulevard, State Highway 26. During the review of the bids, it was recognized that the apparent low bidder for this project, Bean Electrical, did not acknowledge the addendum number 1, which consisted of an additional line item. However, through negotiations with city staff, Bean has agreed to complete the additional work listed on that addendum number 1 at no additional costs. Additionally, during those negotiations, city staff increased the quantity, of 2 line items, which was the one that Bean agreed to not add an additional cost, so there would be a 0 value, and the second and another item, which was only left at 1 each when it should have been a little bit more, and they agreed to use the original unit bid amount as well, which still brought them up to the lowest bid as well. So with the addition in unit quantities from Bean, agreeing to no additional cost for either item, and just adding the additional bid item for the other one, we recommend approval for the construction agreement.
Very good. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, just a brief question. I believe that, didn't the DOT contribute some of the funds for the lighting, or was it?
No, the DOT is, this package is not part of the TxDOT contract.
Oh, okay. I didn't,
They were,
This is for the beautification of State Highway 26 from the city side.
okay.
as part of the TxDOT contract, there was a provision where they put some of the pedestals in, but that was to be paid for by us.
Okay.
Correct.
That clarifies it. Thank you.
The amendment though, Ray, for the additional quantities, was that a quantity that that Bean incorrectly bid, or was that a quantity we added because we had additional work
Well,
to be done?
So for the first one, we did add as an addendum, and however, they were getting their communications, did not receive it. All the other bidders did. And so there was that issue, and we asked them, we've used Bean, they were a subcontractor for the plaza as well, so we know their work and recognize the quality of work they do. And we reached out to them, said, hey, you missed the addendum, but we're willing to work with you if you can give us this at no cost to make it fair. And they looked at it and said they would agree to help us out.
Okay.
Now, the second bid item was, we had the bid item to begin with before going to advertisement. However, we didn't add enough. So that bid item would have been increased accordingly to all the different contractors, but yet they were still the lowest bidder.
Great.
And that was additional bases for the poles?
Correct, additional light bulb bases.
And
We
that-
had the reservation in there, we just didn't add enough quantity to, and those are just in case. So it doesn't mean if they test and the light bulb foundation works, they'll use it. If not, they'll replace it. So that's what those bid items were for.
And where's the funding coming from?
So this is coming from TIF.
Okay, just wanted to make sure there was clarification. This is a TIF funded.
It's in the original project plan.
Yeah,
Correct.
these are special lights. They're not the aluminum light poles that we see on most projects, right?
Correct. This came from the Mesa group that's helping us do the enhancement of the right-of-way, of the medians in the parkway, and this is the first phase of that project moving forward.
So they're the black.
So they are
we
more,
see on some of the new areas,
correct.
like for the stoplights, right?
Well, I
Up in the
mean,
north,
TxDOT
there's
would
a
have their
couple.
standard lighting package they would put. We wanted to enhance that, and we went with Mesa's suggestion and recommendations for them.
Correct.
So yes, they're a little bit better than what's out there.
Absolutely. They look great.
More ornate.
More ain't this.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm going to open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. I do have a card, Kathy Hadley, 4B. That's the only one?
Yes.
Okay.
This for 8.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. My concern, or not concern, but I guess comment about the lighting on 26. Now's the perfect time for y'all to think about implementing, maybe along with the lighting, some electrical outlets so we can start doing some Christmas lights down 26. Have y'all seen pictures of cities? There aren't a whole lot that do that. It's absolutely gorgeous. So think about that with the lighting, that there's electrical plug-ins or something along the poles. We can do some pretty lighting just along a stretch of 26. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have. Is anyone else wish to, come on. Just state your name and address.
Cliff LeBlanc, 6013 Volterra Court, Colleyville, Texas. Excuse me for my voice. My question really is specific to, if this is this 1.7 million, what is the expected value, long-term cost for beautification of 26 for the full conduct? This is stage 1. What's stage 2, 3, et cetera?
Okay, I'll answer that. Anyone else wish to speak? See, no one else indicating that, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. So to answer that last question, first before I get there, I thought of something else. We had talked about putting stanchions for banners on our poles. Is that part of this bid?
Yes.
Okay. If that's the answer, that's fine. Oh yeah, right there on the picture. I just didn't see it. Yeah, and so these are fancier poles, as it's been talked about. They should be very nice looking. So we have the other improvements to 26 is the city will do the median design work, landscaping and stone work, and on the outer edges of the right-of-way landscaping and whatnot. So there will be, it's on the order of for all of it, total $12 million. Is that about right? I mean, that's
Yes,
close.
there's 13 million in the
Yeah.
capital
Yeah.
budget for all improvements, including the lighting and the medians and the vertical elements.
Right, and so we will start that. In fact, the work on the medians or the design work on the medians should start pretty quickly. Once TxDOT complete 26, and so they're getting very close. So they leave the medians with just dirt, and then we come in and do the landscaping and everything. So that'll be a Colleyville project. Everything that's done right now and up to this point has all been TxDOT. So it's their project, they manage it. We can speak to them about it, but they do that. We have little control other than chatting with them periodically.
Can I also
Yes, sir.
throw in something, a question that came up to me yesterday about this was also about the trees. That includes us putting in mature trees
yeah.
along the corridor in the middle. So
Yeah.
those are quite expensive. We're not buying the small ones. We're buying the good ones that are already mature and fairly
Yeah.
large.
Yeah, at the State of the City last year, we had a video that was done by Mesa for us that's artistry. I mean, but it was to illustrate what it's going to look like. It kind of flew down and you're welcome to see that. The design has evolved a little bit, but a big feature is large trees. I mean, we're putting in medium class tree, which are large trees in the medians as well as other landscaping. And along the edges, it'll be more, not big trees, but crepe myrtles and things of that nature. So the intent is for it to be quite nice. We want people to know you're in Colleyville. That's why we are working with businesses on all these grants to give them the opportunity to improve their business, the look of their business, so that we're upgrading the whole boulevard, we hope. That's the plan. Okay. Had the public hearing. We're ready to make a motion.
I'll move to approve Resolution R-19-4454.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve the resolution by Councilmember Kelly, a second by Councilmember Dodson. So you may open the vote. You may show it when it's ready. Okay, the motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you. We'll now move to Agenda 5A. This is the monthly, these next two items are not for council action, but they're for discussion and presentation. First one is monthly financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Kyle Lester, Finance Director. Tonight I have our second monthly financial report for fiscal year 2020. I also have a brief update on where we ended FY19. I mentioned I was going to bring those final figures forward to you this month, and so that's what I would like to start here. Fortunately, we did not see any substantial changes to what we talked about in the previous month. You can see that we ended fiscal year 2019 in the general fund at a surplus of in the neighborhood of $2.5 million. The utilities fund similarly ended with a surplus of about $1.47 million. Now, when we talk about surpluses, I think it's very important that we mention to anyone listening what we do with those dollars. We have a policy here to utilize our surpluses to reduce future revenues we would otherwise have to raise. So, in other words, we're doing this to keep our debt service rate low and to, in fact, completely get out of the debt service business for the utilities fund. So what we're going to do with both of those surpluses is move them over to our capital projects funds to help cash fund some of those capital projects that you were speaking about earlier tonight. Our drainage fund, we also anticipated coming in with a surplus of about $200,000, and we hit that more or less right on the head. And of course, our debt service fund also came in with a surplus of $147,000. That surplus was specifically from higher property tax revenues that we had budgeted for. We specifically had not budgeted for revenues off of new development, and so those can be used for future debt service costs as well.
So a quick question, just for clarity, because people can see this. So in this column, this over under budget,
Yes, sir.
So like the first one, $2.449 million, that's a surplus.
Yes, sir. And so you'll notice that there are a few, for two of those columns, those numbers are the same, and for a few others, there aren't. So if you look down below, we'll address the general fund one. If you look down below that blue line, under the budget column, you can see that we anticipated a surplus of about $66,000. The actual surplus that we ended up with is $2.516 million. The difference between those two numbers, in other words, the difference between what we expected and what we actually got.
So the owners are asking that, the heading of that column is over, under, in parentheses. So we came in under budget.
Oh,
So
yes,
I'm
sir.
just questioning, will people misinterpret that as an overage because it's not in parentheses? That's all I just
think
wanted
you're
to clarify.
correct. It's a little misleadingly
Yeah.
written, but
Clarification, the difference, the deviation from the budget, a component of it is we underspent expenditures.
Yes.
Another
Sir.
component is we underestimated revenues.
that is correct.
So there's two components to it, but yes, that's what's explained.
But I think you're correct. That may have been a little misleadingly labeled. I
Yeah,
apologize about
yeah,
that.
you know, because people, I mean, I knew what it meant, but when people look at this later, didn't want them to be confused.
Well, let me elaborate a little bit on
Yeah.
that, what Mr. Duque was talking about. The surplus in the general fund, it wasn't, about 44% of that surplus came from higher revenues, predominantly higher property taxes than we had budgeted for, higher interest earnings than we had budgeted for, and a few other items. The remaining 56% of that surplus came from budgeted savings, mostly in personnel costs as well as contractual costs.
Yeah.
For our utilities fund, the surplus is a bit of a different explanation there. Generally, in low consumption years for water utilities, you end up ending the year in a lesser financial position because less water was consumed. The way that our rate structure is designed is that if lower water is consumed, then that lowers our revenues, but it also lowers our expenses. So thankfully, it makes it easier for that fund to manage. And we did still end up with a substantial surplus that we can utilize for our capital projects.
Bottom line, that's all good news.
Yes,
So
sir.
talking to Rotary Club today, I said, hey, I'm maybe the only mayor around that can say this. Have AAA bond rating, pay cash for everything, have all our CIPs are cash funded over 5 years. We've lowered tax rate for the last 4 years. We've set the effective tax rate the last 2 years, which means we raised no new revenue other than new growth.
Yes, sir.
And we still have a $2.5 million budget surplus.
You're making my job
You know,
easy.
you gotta say, how do you know, you guys are good.
It's worth noting, though, that some of the savings in the expenditures are the result of our police department being behind in hiring
Yeah.
and now coming up to full staff. But certainly, they cannot account for all of it.
Yeah.
And so it's a credit to all the departments who, when deciding how to spend the dollars, are
Yeah,
conservative in their approach.
And so they, I mean, but typically it's in the $1.5 million range. This year's 2.5 because of the police were kind of understaffed a little bit, maybe.
And revenue is up too.
And revenue was up, which means new growth revenue, because we had set the effective tax rate, and so it was new growth, which is a positive thing.
Yes.
So it's, I mean, I'm always amazed when I think through that, what I said today. We're very blessed.
And,
sir.
and quite frankly, compared to the way a lot of cities operate, our staff actually does major projects. And
Yes.
that is a significant difference, even in Colleyville, in the last few years.
Right. Leveraging the talents of the staff to actually do
Absolutely.
things without going and hiring a consultant to it. One thing I didn't say today, and it's worth saying, that the reason this can happen is because this city really does run like a small business. So the things that have been done, the adjustments, is the same type things that any small business owner would do to make his business more efficient and more effective and save money. And so there are, I don't know of another city that runs like that. I truly don't. That's an honest statement. I've been around in this business a long time. So we're very blessed to have a very creative and talented staff. So I salute all of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So I'll go ahead and flash us forward to this year. We're talking about the financial position from November of FY20. For the first month, we saw a pretty large deficit in the general fund and predicted that we would see another one in November, and that's what we saw. We haven't seen a lot of our property tax revenues come in as of now. We'll see a large portion hit in December and then in January. And of course, we haven't seen any sales taxes hit as of the date of this report, but we will see some come in December. So that deficit should turn around fairly quickly in December and in January months. And that was clearly not an unexpected thing.
Yeah, so this is another example. I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but you never see cities show month by month what your general fund cash flow is. Now, a business would do that, but the first time I ever see a city done it, because you're really tracking and know what's going on. And this is just a general fund cash flow. One thing I didn't say to them, Mark, is how much cash does this city have? And we have like $85 million in cash.
Sure.
And tend to be growing. And so we even talk about, well, do we need to curtail that at some point? I mean.
Mayor, it was 76 million 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
So that puts in perspective.
Yes.
Great strategic moving with.
We're blessed. That's what the mayor says. We are blessed.
And we got a good team moving it around.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid Councilmember Nakamura kind of stole my thunder on this one. But our sales taxes for the first month of this fiscal year came in very positive. As you mentioned, higher than we've seen in the past 5 years, higher than our 5-year average for October. It's certainly a good start. It's a start that a lot of other cities around Texas are seeing. Some a little higher than us, some a little lower than us. But it's hopefully a good omen for what the year has to offer. Our utility fund is continuing to be in a much more positive position last year. We are still seeing some higher water consumption. Again, we don't, as a fund, we want to be a break-even fund. That's what we budget for. And so we expect that $1.9 million surplus to come down as the year wears on. I should note that October of both FY19 and FY20 were pretty unusual months. We had record rainfall last year, whereas this year we saw a much higher consumption than usual. At this time of year, usually we would expect to be in the black by about $800,000. And of course, you can see we're doing much more than that at this point in time.
I got to say one more thing. We're talking about water. The city is insulated from water volume variations, which means it doesn't matter to us if a lot of water is used or little water is used. It does not affect our budget. That's a very important statement because a few years ago, it hugely impacted the budget. But George was on the, yes, when I say utility committee was so great because they came up with the approaches that I've seen no other city use that solves that problem completely.
And the interesting thing is the consultant that came in to try to help us was telling us not to do what we did.
Yeah, no,
we did.
Jerry, I have this conversation with you, don't I? I say, hey, Jerry, there is no other city that does this. Why not? We need to go in, when we're done here, we need to go into consulting business and straighten everybody out.
Exactly.
And he said, yeah. I said, I've been a city manager a long time, and I'd look at this and say, meh, but
I've offered
change
advice
your
to
mind.
others for free, and they've not taken it, so.
It's a charge, then they'll take it.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. It's very straightforward, and it does remove the variability that
money.
most
Right.
built into the budget.
Yeah.
I'll quit interrupting you, maybe.
I only have one more slide, so you don't have
Okay.
much more of a chance. Our drainage fund is a very predictable fund. Revenues and expenses tend to come in exactly as we expected, like clockwork. And so you can see we're in a very similar position this year to date at a surplus of $92,000, as we were last year, at a little bit more of a surplus of about $105,000. But nothing here looks out of the ordinary. And Mayor and Council, that is all I have for you tonight.
Thank you very much. Great
Thank
job.
you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're now moving to Agenda 5B, which is Quarterly Performance Management Report, and Adam is going to give that to us today. So, they got tough questions. I know, I'm kidding you.
I welcome them. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Adam Steele. I am the management intern for the City Manager's Office.
And that's great. It's another smart thing this city does. Hire you smart guys. That's right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So, Tonight, we have prepared a short presentation to call attention to, explain, and review the quarterly performance management report. The quarterly agenda items provide an update on the performance of city programs and services and furthers the city's focus on accountability, communication, excellence, and transparency. The dashboard charts have been provided for those that prefer a more visual highlight of data included in the full report in your agenda packets. The report will utilize two types of metrics. The first of the two metrics is the performance measures. These measures are created as a way to measure efficiency or effectiveness. They represent outcomes that can be directly influenced, and the actual numbers are compared to their annual targets. The performance measures are color-coded in order to indicate how the target is performing. Gray means that the data is not available at this time. Green means that the performance is expected to meet or exceeded its target. Yellow means that the performance is expected to be near the target but will not meet it. And lastly, red means that the performance is not expected to meet or come close to meeting the target. Okay. The second metric is vital statistics. This metric consists of statistics that are not necessarily a reflection of efficiency or effectiveness. However, the data is important to track for a better understanding of a program's performance and decision-making. The vital statistics are something that cannot be significantly influenced, and there is not a target with them. Rather, these statistics just track trends. Okay, so the first page of our 4 dashboards highlights metrics within strategic services. I would like to direct you to our graph on social media followers. As you can see, the number of followers continues to grow, and as mentioned earlier in the citizen survey, residents have given positive feedback how the city handles the communication through e-news, emails, and text alerts. I would also like to direct you to our medical and pharmacy loss ratio. Our goal is to be under 85%, but we hit 93% this past fiscal year due to a few high claims. However, the program is put in place to be utilized, so sometimes things may happen that result in us missing that goal. Okay. For the leisure services dashboard, we show graphs that demonstrate the continued popularity of the youth sports and recreation classes. Looking to the library patron visits, we fell slightly short of our goal of 85,000 at around 82,000. However, we believe this is due to the construction around the library and the city hall that took place this summer. For the Colleyville Center, we show 2 pie charts that provide a visual representation of which client segments utilize the center and revenue related to each of those client segments. The third dashboard highlights metrics related to development and infrastructure. As you can see in the top left, we continue to succeed in both retail and office occupancy rates, staying above our goal of 90%.
Good, a question on that one. There's a blue and green chart, but what is the green on the retail occupancy, retail and office?
The green should be the office occupancy.
Okay, okay.
And for our commercial plan review timelines, they have improved from last year, but still fall short of the goal of 75%. The Trackit software utilized for all the development activity had a number of technical issues that have made processing applications difficult over the last several months. Many of those issues have been addressed, and a few are still being worked through. This should be a temporary issue, and improvement in processing time will be back on the positive trend going forward. On the public works side, we can see that the percentage of pavement markings renewed is way up from the prior year at 69%, exceeding the target of 20%. And our last dashboard highlights public safety measures. Police and fire times continue to be well below the target times, in the good way.
Great, that's very good.
On the citizen survey, resident satisfaction for Colleyville Police and Fire Services was also extremely high, and I believe this dashboard helps to kind of illustrate why that is. And that is all I have for you. I am open to any questions you may have. Okay, thank you very much.
Great job, good. Yeah. Appreciate that. Good report all the way around. Okay, we'll now move to agenda item 6A. So these next 2 are second readings of ordinances, so there will be action taken on them tonight. 6A is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2104, consideration of a special use permit for an accessory building to exceed the 4% lot coverage allowance on Lot 18, Block 2 of the Woodbriar addition located at 3405 Cliffwood Drive, case ZC 19-008.
All right, thank you. Ben Briner, Director of Community Development. As you stated, this is a special use permit request to exceed the square footage for an accessory structure at 3405 Cliffwood Drive. Here's an aerial photo of the site. It is at our southern city limit boundaries. To the south, that open space area is a city park, but for the city of Hearst. The current zoning is R15, single-family residential district, and it is designated for residential use on our future land use map. So here's a pictometry photo of the property. This would be looking the other way, looking from north to south. They are proposing a new 1,500 square foot building in their backyard. They have an existing storage building as well as a carport that we found out about last time. And I'll get to the data on that here in just a little bit. But for every property in City of Colleyville, we authorize up to a 4% lot coverage for accessory structures by right. Anything exceeding that does require the special use permit process for approval. So here's the site data. The site itself is about 28,428 square feet. Our maximum lot coverage allowance is 30% for this district, which would be 8,528 square feet approximately. And then 4% of the lot can only be used for accessory structures by right without special approval for exceeding that limit. And that would be 1,137 square feet. There is an existing house of just under 4,000 square feet. Again, the existing shed is just shy of 200 square feet. And then I've added the square footage for the carport. It is 14 feet by 20 feet, so that adds 280 square feet. Plus the proposed 1,500 square foot garage. That brings total accessory buildings up to 1,976 square feet, which calculates to a 7% lot coverage. So that carport did add 1% to that calculation. But if you take that all together, that is 5,911 square feet. That's house and accessory buildings. And so the total lot coverage is 20.8%, which is well under that 30% maximum lot coverage allowance. So here's a revised zoning exhibit. I've added the carport, which is in front of the existing storage building. And then you can see the approximate location of the proposed garage. They are going to clad the building to match the house. As we heard at the meeting last time, they will be doing a true stucco application, which is similar and matching to the house, so we'll have that same look. And then as far as the roofing material, it will be a metal tile rather than a clay tile. They did provide a packet of the images of what that roof might look like, which I provided at each of your stations right before the meeting. And so again, that is in the attempt to match the house and the design of the house.
Ben,
Yes.
is the profile the same height? I doubt that it is.
It does not add really anything. So if it is more than 16 feet.
No. My question is, the roofing, this metal roofing, while it may appear with a similar shape, I believe that, and I've actually had some metal roofing on one of my houses. Typically, the profile is much less than a true tile roof. That's my comment.
So I'll have to have the applicant answer to see if they know that.
That's fine.
I mean, I think they can get pretty close. It may not be exact, but it definitely will be very similar.
Okay.
So the photo on the left, this is looking at the house itself, and so it will look quite similar to that. Again, I'll defer to the applicant whether it meets the entire profile of that or not. So those were the only changes and modifications from the last time. We did send our notices out to properties within 500 feet, as well as HOA groups within 1,000 feet. We did not receive any responses one way or the other for this request. So staff does recommend approval. We feel it meets the intent of the Land Development Code, and it does match the design of the house. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval. They wanted to make sure that the building is clad with stucco to match the house and the metal roof designed to match the house, as well as orienting the garage doors to be along the interior 30-foot wall facing the west, so into the property. And both of those conditions have been added to the ordinance.
I have another question about the driveway to access the building. As I understand, they're not planning to put in a driveway, is that correct?
Yes, so I'll be speaking for them. They did explain this a little bit at the last meeting. Their intent is just to build the building now, and then in the future, they will be adding a drive approach, and it'll extend from, based on the orientation of this photo, from the right-hand side of this photo, and it will maneuver between some trees, and it will access to that interior facade that faces the interior.
Is it a requirement of the city to have that laid out?
It's not a requirement. What the city does prohibit is any parking of vehicles on grass. It should be an improved surface. Based on what they've indicated, everything will be inside the building, so that should not be an issue. If they do run out of space and they are going to park a vehicle, it will have to be on an improved surface.
Okay. I don't know how we police that. How do we police that?
A lot of it will be complaint-driven.
Okay.
Ben, just a clarification. On this structure, does our code require that it be on a slab? That the structure have a concrete floor?
I don't know specifically. I think they've indicated that it will have a slab. It's a building code issue, and I'm not an expert on the building code. I think in this case, it probably would because of the size of the building, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that if approved, that probably should be a condition just in case.
Yes, that can be added as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I answer any other questions?
As I said, it just seems a little bit unusual to me that they wouldn't at least put on the drawing where the drive's going to go.
It was on one drawing they submitted.
Yeah, he just kind of said where they were going to put it, so.
I didn't see it.
I don't know that we've had one on the drawing. They did describe what they intend to do in the future at the last meeting.
I haven't seen any drawing with the design on it.
Well, once they save up enough money or whatever their plans are, then they'll probably come back with another plan to show us, so. But for right now.
Yeah, now that won't have to come back before the council. We would review it internally just.
Yeah. If I remember from last meeting, and the applicant can always speak here in a minute, that they didn't plan to do that now because they were just going to be storing cars.
Right.
Okay. Will there be any other utilities in the building? I assume there'd be electricity, will there be water or sewer or anything?
I know that that was brought up. I think it was just electricity. I
Okay.
don't think there was water.
Okay. Sure, you may come up, please. And just state your name and address. I know you're the applicant.
Trisha Evans, 3405 Cliffwood Drive. No, sir. It's going to have electrical, obviously, because we have garage doors, and I don't want to come open and close a garage door. But no, it will not have water. It will not have HVAC. It's not cost-effective in Texas to put air conditioning in a garage, but it will have electrical.
Since the question came up against Bat Driveway, could you state the intention about Drive and how you're going to use the building?
Eventually, but like Mr. Lindemood said, cost is a factor at this point. So it will be completed in multiple phases. So we will build the garage, And then I will have to save up some more money, and then I will come back and apply for the permit to pour the driveway. But it will be eventually a concrete driveway, just depending on.
So could you speak to, what I remember you talking about last time was the building is for the purpose of storing your cars that are basically hobbies.
Yes, sir.
That they'll fix up. And what you said at that time, they'll be in the building. I mean, they're not going to be out of the building much. I mean, I'm sure periodically they do, but I guess the question is, you will not ever be parking them outside of that building. Is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay,
I don't know. We drove one up here for the tree lighting. I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but they're not, some of them don't have windows. They don't, I mean, when you pay $15,000 for a top for a car, you don't park them outside overnight.
Yeah.
We don't park them outside. That's why we have them stored all over Creation right now.
Yeah.
And borrowing garage space.
Is the garage also used for work, like to do the work on the vehicles?
Yes,
Or just a
so,
limited amount?
well, so work, like in the sense of like so like my daughter is almost 12, and so we're looking to buy her one so that whenever she turns 15, so we will be restoring her one, but not work like what most people think of, like, oh, it's restoring like a junky rust bucket. She's 12, so her stamina to work on a car is like 2 or 3 hours max in the middle of an afternoon on a Saturday. It's not like out there working until like 2 a.m. because that's not like
But there is some light workshop kind of, which
Yeah.
is appropriate in a garage. It's-
Yeah, so
It's not-
I remember asking you this last time. One relevant question is, this is not a business.
No.
You're not going to have a business
No.
in there working, okay.
No, this is just strictly a family hobby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, I need to have a public hearing. I don't think I've done that yet. Thank you. The public hearing is open.
No cards.
Have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? I see no one indicating they wish to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. So council have any other questions or discussions? If not, yes.
Were there any concerns from the surrounding neighbors?
We did not receive any responses one way or the other.
Okay.
So no concerns.
Thank you.
Mayor, I looked for the approval of ordinance O-19-2104.
I second.
Have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Lindamood, a second by Councilmember Nakamura.
Did you want to make condition upon the?
Added.
I'll add that into my request to make sure that it does have a concrete floor.
Yeah, have a slab, built on a slab.
Built on a
Right,
slab.
so that'll be added to the motion.
I second.
Second, okay. The other items, Ben, that we talked about were already in the ordinance, is that correct?
It was the two items that or maybe three items that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended.
Yeah.
So the materials matching the house, true stucco and the metal tile, as well as the garage door facing on that 30-foot side, facing interior to the lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, both of those have been added.
Yeah, and the participant, I didn't ask a question again about the roof. Can she answer that question?
Oh. So, we're still discussing the motion, Bobby.
My question was about the height of the roof tile, individual tile areas. How high are they compared to the height of the real tile on the house?
I do not have the exact dimension of the height of the tile, but I can give you, have you driven down South Lake Boulevard and seen all of the new construction of the doctor's offices recently? Okay, I know it's very equivalent to the tile that's on the buildings here. Because this is not a true, clay tile on the buildings that are here.
Okay.
This is a, synthetic tile, and so it matches synthetic tiles.
I understand that, yeah. I understand, okay.
So, the exact dimension, I'm sorry, I do not have.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My expectation is it probably is not the same.
Same, yeah.
It's probably a lower profile, but
So there's,
it does have the ups and downs, I understand.
It's right here.
Yeah, I've got a picture of it right here. On page,
It's on the second
Agreed.
page of the packet, is
Right,
the,
I've
where
got
I highlighted the tile,
I got it, yeah. Decra,
the
Villa tile.
Decravia tile.
Yep,
Mhm.
okay, thank you.
Okay, are we through discussing the motion?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Then would you open the vote, please? The motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is approved. Thank you. So we'll now move to agenda item 6B. This is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2106, an ordinance amending sections 3A and 3B of the Water and Sewer Policy and Procedure Manual as contained in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Colleyville, adjusting water and wastewater volumetric rates to pass through changes from the Trinity River Authority.
Excuse me. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'm Kyle Lester, Finance Director. As you mentioned, tonight is our second reading for amending our water and sewer rates to reflect those new pass-through rates from the Trinity River Authority. Last meeting, we went through the proposed rate increases as well as the current rates and how those are sort of structured. Being the first reading, no action was taken. Tonight, we're asking council to pass these new rates. If those rates are passed, they will go into effect on January 1st, 2020. We saw this slide last time, and we talked a lot about how our rates are structured. For the benefit of anyone who is listening that does not know, I will give us a brief overview. Any customer can think of their water and sewer bill as in two basic parts. The first is what we call our base rate. That base rate is a fixed cost that does not change month to month. This is the rate that pays for all of the city's direct operating costs for the water and wastewater utility. It also helps pay for cash fund some capital improvements as well. So that is the direct, that's what the city directly controls, is that base rate. The second rate is known as our volumetric rate, and that is what we're really talking about tonight. We're talking about increasing rates. Because Colleyville does not have its own water source, we have to purchase water from the Trinity River Authority. So we purchase that water from them, the customer then purchases that water from us, and we charge them directly for what we pay. So every year, we have to come back and ask ourselves, what are they going to charge us, and then pass that through to our customers, and that's what really brings us here tonight. It's worth noting that for FY20, the current fiscal year we're in, the base rates, again, the rates that we directly control, did not change. We did not increase those rates at all. And so we, again, no rate increases are due specifically to action from the city. However, again, we do typically see rate increases from that volumetric portion from Trinity River Authority. For this year, starting in January 1st, 2020, our rate will be going from $4.136 per 1,000 gallons to $4.3224 per 1,000 gallons. That's a difference of about 4.3% for our water volumetric rate. How they come up with that is basically they look at our usage relative to the other customers that they serve, and then they apply that to the cost of their raw water, their operating budget. They also have a standard buffer of about 20% to make sure that they have enough cash on hand when they need it. And then they also charge out their debt service as well and add a small buffer of 5% there. And so what we're being charged is a rate for their operations and maintenance of 2.822 cents and a rate for their debt service of 1.5 cents, again for a total rate of 4.3224 cents per 1,000 gallons used. For wastewater, we're seeing a much more modest rate increase of 0.5%. That rate will be going from 3.1071 to 3.1212 per 1,000 gallons. And the method for calculating how they charge that rate out is virtually identical to what they do for their water rate. They again look at the potential usage between all of their customer cities. They charge out their operating budget that way. They add a smaller buffer here of 2%, Then they also charge out their debt budget and add a buffer of 5%. So again, the same basic formula for that. This being our second and final public hearing on this item, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. I have our, just the basic, what those rates are going to, for anyone's reference who would like to speak, but I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, very good. So, I mean, these, you never like to see increases, but these increases are actually less than what they projected that we would see. So we're pleased about that. They always give us a 5-year projection for everybody's information, which is their guess. So this is the real number. So I don't remember what they projected, but
I thought they were 9 and 11.
yeah, it was
It
big,
was up.
because I remember it was big.
And looking at, just for some information, and looking at that, it looks like they may have pushed off some debts.
Yeah, they had to push out some capital cost or something. Okay. Anyway, any other questions or comments?
Oh,
in the council?
It's good.
Okay. Very good, thank you. I'm gonna open the public hearing. Public hearing is open.
No cards.
Have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? See no one indicating that, so I'm gonna close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and a motion is in order.
Move adoption of ordinance O-19-2106.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Dodson, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Linda Mood. Would you open the vote, please? You may show it when you have it. That motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is approved. Thank you. Now move to agenda item 7A. This is reading and public hearing of resolution R-19-4455. Get to it. A resolution changing the first October City Council meeting date to Monday, October 5, 2020. Whereas in accordance with the city charter and section 3.1 of the City Council Rules of Procedure, the City Council shall meet in the City Hall on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 7:30 p.m. unless otherwise officially established by the City Council. And whereas City Council desires to change the date of the first October City Council meeting date to Monday, October 5, 2020, to accommodate National Night Out in Texas on Tuesday, October the 6th, 2020. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the first regular City Council meeting in October will be held Monday, October the 5th, 2020, and it is so resolved. So I think, unless you wanted to say anything, Madam Secretary, I think it's pretty self-evident what we're doing. So if there's no comments, I'm going to open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Anyone wish to speak on this item? See no one wishing to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, so a motion is in order.
I'll move to approve resolution R-19-4455.
I second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Wheat, a second by Councilmember Dodson. Would you open the vote, please? That motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you. We'll now move to agenda item 8, which is citizen comments. We do have a card. Kathy Hadley.
And you also have Ms. Hennessy as well. And Ms. Hennessy as well.
Okay. Either one of y'all both have cards.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. First of all, I want to say that the first evening on the plaza, the new plaza, was wonderful. I heard so many praises, and I greatly, greatly appreciate all the hard work and effort that all of y'all have done. It was marvelous. My only concern, and Jerry's heard me talk about this a couple of times, is and I understand with kids you have to be careful, but guess where people seeing little risers, if you had to make them a little shorter and taller, because where I was sitting way at one end, I couldn't see the kids way over here at the other. And anyway, that's my only concern, maybe just a shorter riser, but there's a flat surface where y'all can do that when the time comes. Okay, thank you, and I've thanked y'all before on Glade and 26. going east and west, getting the signage up for the lanes up there at the light poles or where the lights are. We also need to take care of it at Hall Johnson, and my tooth is killing me, and I'm thinking, I wrote Whitechapel, and it's not, what is the name of the road that's just south of Hall Johnson? Church Street, thank you. We need to get signage up there at the lights for the lane signage. Yes, you have, today I was driving down Hall Johnson, and again, with all the traffic, it's hard to notice on the lane markings and even a sign, because you're watching traffic and you're sitting there and looking toward the light, and right lane is supposed to turn right. And people want to go straight because they look straight ahead and they see the lanes are open for them to go that way. And same with the left lane, you can go straight or left. You would think you can go straight, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to go left. But people don't know, so y'all need to get the signage up there at by the lights, please. Also, on Precinct, coming off of Precinct, turning on to Glade, turning right onto Glade and heading east on Glade. I've talked about this before. Y'all really need to get whoever's responsible. Maybe it's not even Colleyville. Is it maybe Hearst, North Richland Hills there at Glade and Precinct? Those lanes, the markings, I'm sorry, I know, those lanes, the markings are very, very, very bad. And I'm always a driver going north on Precinct, turning right onto Glade, and I know I've got to hug it tight, but it's, the markings are so worn away that
Yeah, I know where you're talking
a
about.
head-on
Yeah,
is gonna
that's not
happen.
Colleyville, but we
Okay.
could ask that they fix it.
Okay. Landscaping on 26, and I have my phone in my purse back there. I have pictures of the medians in, I guess it's Plano, and I got my phone out and I'm safely taking pictures while I'm driving, and it's just all these big gorgeous trees in the medians. And I have them on my phone, so I don't know if I just show y'all individually if you want to look at them, or if I somehow hook it up here and show y'all. I'm glad to hear y'all are going to put it on in a little more mature trees. That'll be great. With the lighting again, I want y'all to think about, please, doing some Christmas lights. I know with all the construction, you're kind of a little leery to keep from doing that. I think it'd be really nice if we could get some of the businesses on 26 to light up their buildings. Do a little bit of the Christmas spirit, that'd be great. Also, praise to the Colleyville Police Department and the Grapevine Police Department for taking the fast action at what happened at Grapevine High School last Friday. My son goes to Grapevine. I went to Grapevine High School in the dark ages. And something like that had never, ever, ever, ever happened before. And I'm thankful my son wasn't there. He's safely on a road trip to go visit A&M. Anyway, so thank God the people, the children, the students were safe, and this young man will hopefully get his life together, get things straightened out. But praises to Colleyville and Grapevine Police Department. I'm very glad to know that just in a matter of few moments, they're there to fight evil on behalf of the residents.
Yeah.
Thank y'all, and Merry Christmas to all of you. You were doing a fabulous job with Colleyville. I really, really appreciate it. God's looking down from heaven, smiling at y'all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Mrs. Hennessy?
Hi, Kathleen Hennessy, 5013 Stonebridge Drive, Colleyville. Merry Christmas, everybody. Just a comment about an issue that just came up. This is on Glade Road. It's the issue was, hope you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move it up to the middle, yeah.
Is right, let me do this, which is better. The issue is right.
Could you push it up to the middle of that glass? Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
The issue is right here. And I spent most of today trying to figure out what had gone wrong. Finally, about half an hour ago, figured it out. We have an owner of the home here who
And that's
had
at Cranbrook Drive.
Cranbrook. Yeah, Cranbrook. Oh, I think everybody knows about that one now. But that, there's a driveway that goes straight in right next to his wall. And right next to that, just less than 10 feet away, is Cranbrook Drive. And so there's a real risk of injury and accidents because they come out this very high walled-in place, and then people are coming out Cranbrook Drive at the same time. So the owner of this property was required to move his, and the city have helped him, and he's moved his driveway. But it was a lot of misunderstanding and consternation and as to whose fault it was, and so I found out what was wrong. This is a close-up. Can you see that?
No, can you slide it more to the, there you go.
There, okay. There's a close-up there. Okay, so it's on the left-hand side of that. I need a pointer, but anyway, if the problem is that the lot on the right-hand side was, according to, because I went down to the city hall today and I got all the papers that you've got. And all you've got is a plat from 1992 for this property, and you have a plat for Cranbrook Road, which is 1990. So that took precedence, right? And so it was the homeowner's responsibility to fix things. However, I checked with the neighbors, and I found out that, in fact, that house here was built in the 1960s, but it wasn't platted until 1990. And so there's no real record of a plat. So, but he had squatter's rights. That family had squatter's rights, and that's what the owner of that plot was informed that, he was there first. And so there's been a misunderstanding with city officials as to who was there first. And it's been very diplomatically and very, very professionally handled by the city officials. And everyone is so grateful, okay? And really appreciate it. Have a Merry Christmas.
I don't
Great
understand
guys.
what happened. You said there was a problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got a road, two-lane road,
Okay.
and then there's a brick wall that hides that traffic from a driveway which is right next to that brick wall. And so they come out together, and it's really dangerous.
Wow.
And it's against the Texas highway regulations as well. You have to have so many feet between.
But that was corrected?
It's been corrected.
Yeah.
It's all been done.
Yeah, that's what.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
How did they correct it?
They built a bridge here,
Put in,
temporary.
they put in
Because
2
the-
culverts and some gravel over the top
Yeah.
of it
Yeah,
for temporary until we can,
that's right.
until the construction.
Well, originally, this owner got a letter from the city,
Mhm.
official, you have to have it done by the end of this year. He's very, very interested in being a good citizen, compliant.
He was.
And so
Yeah.
he did it.
Yeah.
And so, but he didn't know, but he couldn't, he couldn't do it because he needed a permit to do it.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get a permit. So anyway, and he couldn't figure out, he said, you know, these people that sold me this house told me that I had the rights
Right,
to
yeah.
that driveway. And so he listened to them, and he didn't have any paperwork on it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out what on earth, why were we getting these different messages from the city? And it's because the city didn't go, their records for this particular property, because it was unplatted, don't go back to the 1950s and 60s.
Sure.
Only
Okay.
to 90.
I'm glad we
Right.
got it resolved.
So, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been beautifully resolved.
That's
Everybody's
great.
happy. Thank you very much. Merry
Well,
Christmas.
Thank
super.
you.
Thank you, Miss.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I was afraid that it still wasn't resolved, Kathleen. I'm sorry.
It's beautiful.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, my friend, the owner of that property is off to a party tonight.
Okay.
Oh, great. Great.
Well, thank you for coming up.
Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Okay, Mark, unless you want to speak, that's all for this one. Oh, he's gonna do it?
Come on
All
up.
right, come state your
Oh.
name and address, yeah. Oh, no,
Oh,
you're
no
fine.
way, you're
You're fine.
perfect.
Mark Steele, 613 Picasso. And I would just like to say, everyone that's up there that went through the last election, I voted for you. Not because I knew anything about you, but I had some good advice. Somebody said, they gave me a list, go vote for them. So Mayor Newton, I just wanted to say, you're doing an amazing job. You've assembled a great team. Thank you very much, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Merry
Appreciate-
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
you being
Thank
here.
you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, we moved to 9. These are library board minutes. Any questions about that?
Nope.
We do not need 10, so I'm adjourning without objection.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Adjourned. Thank you.
Who had 9:30?
I did.
Nice.
did.
Bag of burgers.
9:29. We always bet on when it's gonna be over.
I'm just gonna eat.
When do we come back? That's pretty early.
Not bad.
Not
Got a lot
bad.
going on.
Not bad.
Not a lot on the agenda. We had a lot of